Making the PYP happen in the TCIS Learning Commons. First of all, the Learning Commons seeks to promote international mindedness in all of its users. We do this in several different ways. First of all, through book and other material selection. We pay careful attention to the countries of publication as well as each author's ethnicity and citizenship. We look at international book awards and purchase the books that are on those lists. We also look at books that are promoted through the international library associations of which we are members. We also look at the online presence of other PYP libraries, as well as talk with our PYP library colleagues and find out what are the books that they have come across. We also encourage members of our community when they travel to other places to bring back materials that they think represent those other cultures. We also support each of the different languages that are spoken by elementary students in our school. So we have a large selection of books that are written in multiple languages. As long as each of these students remains at TCIS, we continue to purchase books in their home languages as they grow and as their reading tastes change. We try to support those reading tastes and those reading interests in their own language. No matter where our books come from or what language they're written in, we try our best to make sure that each book we choose represents different perspectives, represents tolerance and open-mindedness towards other cultures. We also try to give our students an opportunity to interact with students from other international schools through the International Battle of the Books. This is a competition that's run by the librarians at the French International School of Hong Kong, and we have our younger students read the books on their international lists, and the older students read their books on their lists, and they also compete with students from other schools and interact with these other students in an online context. We have also taken the opportunity to reimagine the learner profile as it fits reading and inquiry contexts. The Learning Commons also supports the PYP curriculum module. Through our purchasing practices, we ensure that we have identified areas of need for each of the different subject areas and each of the different units, and therefore the transdisciplinary themes of sharing the planet, who we are, where we are in place and time, how we express ourselves, how the world works, and how we organize ourselves. We seek to support the different lines of inquiry that teachers have identified, as well as the key concepts for each of those units. We then take those purchases and we put them into resource lists for each of those units, as well as resource lists for the learner profile or reader's profile and the PYP added approaches to learning and attitudes. During library class time, our students also have created the library classroom agreements, and at the end of each library time, students reflect on how well they've been able to meet these agreements and support them and support others through those agreements. In the Learning Commons, we also support teacher provocations through providing teachers with resources for the classroom, so their classrooms as well as the Learning Commons become a text-rich area of support for those students' inquiry into those provocations. We also support the provocations through the read alouds that we select for students. So when students come to our library and we read books out loud to them, we're making sure that we support the learning that they are already doing in their other classes. We also support formative learning and formative skills. First of all, reading skills, of course, are a very large part of what we do in the Learning Commons. We make sure that students have the skills they need to interact with both fiction and nonfiction materials. We also make sure that students have the skills they need for independent inquiry. We teach them how to do inquiry using the Super 3 and Big 6, so they always have a model that they can rely on whether they have a teacher with them or not. We make sure that we provide them with many experiences in how to use the Learning Commons resources and tools, so students, even at a very young age, are able to use those tools like the library catalog and our databases to search for information they need for their independent inquiry. We also make sure that we help students plan their independent inquiry by giving them graphic novels and an opportunity to come up with the questions and steps that they'll need to take, and the steps they'll need to take and the questions they'll need to answer to fulfill their inquiry projects. We help students evaluate sources of information and to identify the useful information within those sources. We also help them learn how to appropriately cite sources. So how does the library know when these things are happening in the classroom? Well, first of all, we attend weekly PYP collaboration meetings with groups of teachers, as well as individual meetings with teachers as each of these different units approaches. We also spend a great deal of time looking on the unit planners on Atlas Rubicon to look ahead and find out ways that we might support students, and also how we can make sure that our purchasing practices are going to support their inquiry needs.